Hi everyone, I'm Paridi and I lead AWS Marketplace for all non-profit healthcare customers. Welcome to today's session where we're going to talk about opportunities and challenges to transform healthcare outcomes with AWS Marketplace. In today's session, we're going to talk about AWS's healthcare mission and commitment in solving complex healthcare problems. And then I would like to call upon Michael Zeger from Fred Hutch Cancer Research Center to share their story and mission in fighting cancer. And then I would like to call upon Nick Miller, Team Lead Marketplace, to talk about how AWS Marketplace is making leaps and bounds in the healthcare industry. Think big is one of the leadership principles at Amazon. Candidly, that is why I love working here and it's part of our culture. Think big is part of our culture. It is what we do every day in collaboration with our customers and partners. AWS's healthcare mission is to make global healthcare accessible and affordable for everyone by improving patient outcomes, by improving quality of care, by improving patient experience and reducing cost, especially by accelerating digital transformation for our customers. And as part of Think Big culture, we are part of this very important project called White House Cancer Moonshot Project, where all of us are working together to eradicate cancer as well as touch the lives of anyone who's been touched by cancer. Cancer is the second leading cause of death in the US after heart diseases. 1 in 4 Americans die because of cancer, and that is why cancer touches all of us. White House Cancer Moonshot Project is a project where governments across the world, including world leaders, public sector and private sector, healthcare providers, patients, advocates, and researchers come together in their fight towards cancer. One of the things that they do is use technology, AI, and access to open data sets. To know more about this, please go to www.whitehouse.gov/cancer moonshot. Now let's change gears a little bit. Let's talk about what are some of the key trends and challenges and opportunities in the healthcare world that we are seeing today. As per the global, because of the global economic crisis like inflation and staff shortages, as per AHA, more than half of the hospitals in the US are losing money post-pandemic. As per Forrester, 70% of healthcare organizations are upgrading their cloud technology. There is an increase of compliance cost. As per AHA again, that $69 billion of bottom line every year is affected because of compliance. There's been a widespread use of EHRs. As per CDC, 90% of office-based physicians and almost all hospitals in the US are now using EHRs, which is great because it improves quality of care, transparency, and security. There's also been an increase in cybersecurity threats. As you know, healthcare is the top market or sector for cybersecurity threats, and that is why zero trust security models are being adopted across the world. The future state of healthcare is to use technology, AI, and access to open data sets, as well as accelerate digitization for our customers. And that is why we feel people and innovation are at the center of healthcare transformation. And to bring a positive impact, we need everyone to come together as part of the healthcare ecosystem and work in collaboration. And one such example is Fred Hutch Cancer Research Center working with AWS and AWS Marketplace. So let me call upon Michael Zeger from Fred Hutch Cancer Research Center to talk about their mission and story in fighting cancer.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. How's everybody doing today? Good? First day of reInvent? Oh, I need the clicker. 1 second. So my name is Michael Zeger. I'm with the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center. What I do at the Fred Hutch is I run a data core where we ingest data from all of the various scientific instrumentation, we put it into the cloud, and we make it operable for people. The way that we've gotten there is through the development of a data platform called Zero, which we built in collaboration with AWS and has really transformed how our organization thinks and is working with data. Before I get into the details of that, I thought I'd share a little bit about myself and my personal journey. So I spent actually the majority of my career developing solutions for startups, Fortune 100 companies, entertainment artists. So it's a little bit strange that I'm here talking to you guys today about healthcare. The change started, I think, for me when I was living in LA. I got invited by my buddy Bob to go down to Comic-Con. I had always had like a desire or a bucket list item to go have a drink with Bender from Futurama, and that actually was going to become a reality, so I did that. And on my drive back to Los Angeles, I got a call from my brother. And he wanted to get together, and I was like, okay, I'll be back in about a half hour. If you want to meet up tonight, I'll give you a call. So when I got to LA, you know, there's those moments in your life that like you just remember every single thing about it, like it's just like freeze framed. So when I got there, I saw my brother and my sister sitting on the steps outside my apartment, and it was clear to me that my sister was crying. And I learned then that my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 small cell lung cancer. You know, it didn't take us long to determine that we were going to leave LA, all of us. Went back to Seattle, and we stayed with her while she went through horrible therapies and ultimately passed away within a year. My uncle died a couple of months later of the same disease, leaving my grandmother. I wish I could say that this story was unique. It's not. I know there are those of you in this audience today that are either have lost a loved one, you've gone through this yourself, it's incredibly isolating and lonely, and you feel helpless. And unfortunately, if you haven't gone through this before, the odds are that you will, in some way, shape, or form. Cancer is, diagnosis of cancer is going up 50% in the next 20 years. So it's pretty dire, but there is hope. And this hope really lies with early detection and improved therapies. And a big part of this really comes down to technology, right? So many of the advances, especially like now, are being fueled by our ability to harness big data, clinical records, all this crazy data coming out of scientific instrumentation, genomics, proteomics, imaging, cellular imaging, histopathology, all of these various different types of high throughput instrumentation, getting it all together, making sense of it, applying advanced models. But you need to have a large corpus of this data, and it needs to be of high quality. So at this point, you might be asking yourself, like, okay, how did you pivot? How did you get involved in this space? Pretty unlikely person to have done it, right? I actually just reached out to our senior vice president of human biology at the Hutch. I had a drink with him, and he told me about precision medicine. He showed me a data platform he was trying to build, visualization platform he was trying to build, and I realized I could really help. So I decided I'd give up my little company, and I go to the Fred Hutch, and I make a difference. So one of the first things that I learned in coming to the Fred Hutch, which was shocking to me, is there was no organizational strategy for data. None, like really. What we did have, though, was we had like hundreds of digital strategies for data. And part of that is due to the way that research gets funded. So every lab, an analogy you'll often hear is like labs are like shopping malls, or cancer centers are like shopping malls. You have all these independent labs, they're getting their own money, they're hiring their own staff, they do their own P&L, right? And they do all their own data analysis and management and exploration and publication. Well, this isn't great when we're thinking about the fact that we need to have large volumes of trustworthy data in order to drive therapies and new cures. So the answer is pretty clear, right? Like the big idea, it's actually not that novel or interesting or anything, right? It's pretty obvious. We need to figure out how do we centralize all of this data How are we going to manage this in a centralized way? And then how are we going to provide our researchers with better tools to perform analysis and visualization? And the challenging part of this is in the implementation. How do you do this? I know a lot of research centers are right now trying to figure out how do we do this. Another driver right now is compliance. How do we make this safe? Data breaches are up. NIH is now saying data management and sharing plans. We need to get a grip on this as institutions. So this is how we did it. The first step is we put together a core facility dedicated to data. For those of you that don't know what core facilities are, these are traditionally places that are running large-scale instrumentation. So genomics, proteomics, cellular imaging, et cetera. They have millions of dollars of instrumentation that any researcher can go to and use because it's too expensive for everyone to have it. I propose that we created a new center, a new core facility dedicated to data. And to staff this facility, I recruited people from around the center, scientists, software engineers, bioinformaticians, that I knew would be able to make real contributions because they were the kinds of people that liked to share knowledge, that had good relationships with other people in the organization, which helped with building inroads, particularly with IT and security, or great relationships with researchers who can act as translators for our engineers. The next thing we did is we needed to go build infrastructure. And to do that, we went to AWS. And there's a couple of folks in this room today that helped us to build that infrastructure. So thank you guys. We made some decisions very early on about what this infrastructure should be. A lot of this came down to the fact that we knew what budgets were like and what security should be like. So we decided everything we did would be serverless. Everything would be based off of managed services. Everything would be HIPAA eligible. We weren't going to go down the path of building a research platform just to have to turn around and create a clinical platform. And we knew that we wanted to be technology agnostic other than AWS. And I'd be happy to talk about why we chose AWS and all that if you want to come see me afterwards. So, how's it going? Well, phenomenal, to be honest. I'm surprised by how well it's gone. Today, our researchers, we have 259 projects across our organization. This is 89% of the labs at the Fred Hutch are now using this system. That's pretty amazing. We offer our researchers 212 fully reproducible data pipelines. These can be written in Nextflow, Whittle, SnakeMake. We have all of AWS HealthOmics integrated into it. And we've even had the chance to partner with Illumina to integrate their Dragon platform. What we've done is before, like when you would go to a lab, they would have to go figure out how to do this analysis. And oftentimes those decisions would be based off of, hey, does my postdoc know R or Python? It should not be the reason you're choosing an analysis, one analysis over the other. We made all of this point and click. And we helped to solve the problem of data management because we track everything that happens. We also were able to transform all of the data, not just the pipelines, but allow people to interactively explore the data. We gave people notebooks so they could take advantage of compute architectures that they didn't have it before. So it's been really amazing. And one of the things I'm most proud of is the fact that of those 212 pipelines, maybe about a third of them came from actually researchers at the center. We didn't write them. Many of the visualization tools are now starting to come from researchers at the center. We're not writing them. So it's building up its own community and its own momentum. But there's not just one audience at the Hutch, right? We also had to figure out how we were going to help these other groups. So the impact on shared resources, these people that run genomics, proteomics, cellular imaging, spatial biology, et cetera, have greatly benefited from this platform. Well, we've done 9 core integrations at this point. How this differs is that before, a researcher would drop off some tissue, and they get back these huge data sets, right, files, that they'd have to figure out what to do with. And the people in the cores had to go through and figure out, like, where do I deposit it? How do I share this? How do I help them with this data once I've delivered it? Well, we've now are able to take data directly from these instruments, throw it in the cloud, perform compute on it, process it, and deliver it to people without them having to do a thing. We've also automated daily QC. So every day you got to go in there and you got to make sure the machines are calibrated correctly. That takes a lot of time. It's not fun. So we've done that for 2 of the cores. I think the impact on the institution is probably the most profound, and I think we haven't fully realized it yet. So we have, over the last year and a half, ingested or generated over 65,000 data sets. These data sets are easily discoverable. You know exactly where they came from. They were derived by running a pipeline. You know who did it, when they did it, what the parameters they used, what compute it ran on, everything. So you can trust this data. And that is a huge difference that we've made at the Hutch. The data, 65,000 data sets, that's composed of 408,000 biological samples. And we're growing at about 2,600 data sets a month now. We're seeing a change in the way that our researchers are doing their analysis. Initially, much of the data was derived from ingesting from our cores. Now we're seeing a lot more being done by people actually just like running pipelines, which is really rewarding. And we've also improved data governance and security. Because we know what type of data it is, we've introduced systems for classifying data. We can start to build rules around those classifications. And we've been able to give the organization much greater insights into what type of data they have. And lastly, it's like, well, so what's next, right? So there's something that's really interesting about our core facility. Something that really distinguishes us. We don't have physical instrumentation, right? We don't have to buy genome sequencers. So it opens up this really interesting idea. What if a bunch of research centers could pull resources to develop this stuff centrally? And so one of the things that we're doing now is we are working to put this data platform on AWS Marketplace to help other cancer centers. And we've had a lot of really great response from folks. And we think that this is really the way that we're going to be able to scale the impact. Because let's face it, like when you write a scientific paper, I don't know very many of them that were written by one institution. So if we can solve this for Hutch, maybe we can do something much bigger and better and try to like actually make this go across multiple institutions. The reasons we're looking at Amazon Marketplace is it's to simplify distribution. Very hard to do procurement in research centers. But going through Amazon, everyone has an Amazon account, so that makes that easy. And it's taken a lot of the load off of us in terms of operational efficiencies, in terms of having to figure out billing, application of legal agreements, data use agreements, and all this sort of thing by actually baking that into the contract. And we're also putting the system in with Vendor Insights, which is another service that they have that allows you to cite what type of security credentials you've received. So we just actually, as of yesterday, have our SOC 2. So that's great. It gives people better, helps to answer people's questions around like, can I trust this? Can I use this system? So anyways, I'd just like to close by saying thank you for your attention, but also I'd love to partner with people. Like I really am passionate about this space. I want to find people that we can help to accelerate each other. There's too much stuff being developed in silos. So if you're at a research center, you're interested in trying this thing, or if you're interested in making contributions, I'd love to speak with you. Anyways, thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to my friend Nick Miller.
Awesome. First, Michael, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your story. It's always inspiring. And I'm confident you're going to build a better future. So that's super exciting. I'd like to start with my own personal story. About 2 years ago, I was at our AWS DC Summit, and I came across the Obliteride program. This is Fred Hutch's annual bike ride that is designed to help raise awareness and drive advances in cancer prevention, treatment, and cures. Just last year, they raised over $9 million, so it's a great organization if you want to get a part of it. But these photos are from a time where I was thinking about my mom and her cancer journey, and fortunately, she was cured, right? But there are many people, as Michael cited, that may not be so lucky, and so this helps me kind of remember that this journey, this mission, this technology, it's personal for a lot of people, for a lot of communities. And many are hoping that we can accelerate research to drive cures. And so this kind of fuels our collective path forward. And so I often like to start with why, right? How do we create a culture where health systems can go from kind of idea to always on innovation at scale? And for many health systems, that remains elusive. But what if? What if we could achieve that innovation velocity that the Hutch was able to across many research centers, across many institutions? What impact would you drive? Fortunately, this massive proliferation of data, machine learning models, and high available and highly scalable compute is giving us a new opportunity to really drive this innovation. And it's all taken shape over the last few years and has driven this rise of generative AI. But before we can do that, we have to talk about what we see as one of the fundamental problems. The healthcare bureaucracy, and particularly the procurement process, these industrial age procurement processes, are inhibiting our ability to empower researchers to move fast. How do you make builders at these organizations move fast? It's kind of still going, which is really part of the point. There's so many pieces to this puzzle to navigate a sale of technology if you're a builder that is overwhelming for me. And this is my slide, right? This is my slide. But that's the point, right? Our industrial age procurement models are encumbering our builders to deliver new capabilities. And it shouldn't be that way, right? At AWS Marketplace, we believe digital transformation must be coupled with procurement transformation, because our builders are being encumbered with growing legacy O&M cost and keeping these applications on-prem. So what can we do about this? Well, first, it starts with simplifying. Right? If we can simplify the software supply chain and deliver an always-on, on-demand software supply chain, faster digital procurement will help save lives. There's a leadership principle at AWS that I really love. It's called bias for action. And I love this one because it says speed matters in business. And it's very true, right? In today's business environment, if you don't innovate fast, you die. And there's so many parallels to the healthcare industry. And so in keeping up with the pace of innovation, we're really seeing a revolution in solution procurement, right? Just a minute ago, Michael talked about perhaps taking Suro to market and driving new solution procurement that will be vital to powering the future of healthcare innovation. So the first part of the solution, in our opinion, is simplifying how builders can get access to new technologies and make it easy for them to find, discover, and test these new technologies. But speed is only one part of the problem. Our builders have to operate within their organization's procurement constraints, governance constraints, and well-intentioned guardrails. They were built for a reason, right? So the other part of the solution has to be making it easier for builders to navigate that process so that those organizational procurement rules or vendor management rules or supply chain rules can be navigated efficiently at speed to deliver the innovation that you need. And AWS Marketplace enables exactly that. Based on the trends and challenges we saw in industry, and we heard from builders across every sector, including healthcare, we launched Marketplace to fundamentally transform the software procurement supply chain, to enable faster digital procurement and enable innovation, speed, and velocity. And in doing so, Marketplace is transforming how organizations find, subscribe to, test, and deploy and govern software, data, and professional services. And I'm thrilled to see so many large health systems starting to embrace AWS Marketplace as a preferred way to buy their solutions and drive their own digital transformations. So just a little bit about AWS Marketplace. Today, we offer over 20,000 product listings from 5,000 sellers across 70 product categories. These are categories like analytics, machine learning, databases, and I'll show you a little bit more. And buyers annually generate over 2.5 million subscriptions. So AWS Marketplace provides an always-on, end-to-end digital supply chain for builders. And as a customer and as an organization, you can choose how you wish to participate. While we have self-service options, most of my organizations embrace what we call seller private offers or consulting partner private offers. One of the most common questions I asked is AWS Marketplace a reseller? No. We are the marketplace curator of the catalog, and we consolidate billing and management functions, but we allow you to work with the partners of your choice to move to this always-on digital supply chain. A few years ago, I was talking to a large health system in the Midwest, And I was talking about the benefits of Marketplace for their organization. And they said, we as an organization have local spend commitments. Our board wants to see local spend commitments, and we're working with this small reseller who's local to the region. Can you help them work with you? And the answer was yes. Within a week, we were able to onboard that new small business, that consulting partner, to AWS Marketplace and get them transacting with that health system so that the organization didn't have to build a new vendor base. They could work with those vendors all in a cloud-native way. Immediately, the CEO of the small business called me and was like, this was fantastic. How do I work with AWS to take this innovation that I'm seeing in industry to more of my health systems? And that is exactly why we're here. So what types of offerings are available? Most people start with AWS Marketplace in our infrastructure offerings. These are many of the core foundational elements to build and operate a cloud or IT estate, whether it's development or DevOps solutions, security, networking, databases, and importantly, implementation services from those professional services partners that are so instrumental to our health systems. But in this audience, I suspect most of you are here to learn about healthcare and what we're doing in the healthcare space. And so I'll talk a little bit about kind of what we're seeing. Hundreds of solutions are now available in AWS Marketplace for providers, payers, to accelerate their business. I'll give you an example. Just last week, John Snow Labs, they made their small and medium medical large language models available in AWS Marketplace. These medical LLMs can help with summarizing clinical encounters or answering questions on clinical data, right? Solutions like this are providing key use cases for healthcare customers across medical imaging, population health, analysis, and healthcare compliance. And here's a look at the AWS Marketplace healthcare and life sciences products. You can always see what's available online. When I joined AWS 5 years ago, if you told me Salesforce, ServiceNow, SAP, Workday, and these horizontal line of business applications would be listed in AWS Marketplace, you probably would have laughed me out of the room. But that is exactly what we're seeing right now. And I posit it's because many of our buyers have grown up as digital natives, maybe similar in age to me. Perhaps you call them the App Store generation. But they're now CIOs. They're now chief procurement officers. They're now line of business leaders. And they're seeking this always-on digital supply chain that allows them to move fast. And this is why buyers are moving to AWS Marketplace. And so at a meta level, I ask, how do we help drive innovation from the commercial world into our health systems to enhance patient care, lower costs, and improve outcomes? As Michael so poignantly said, it is about our families. It is about our next generation, ensuring they get the care they need. Our top 1,000 customers are using AWS Marketplace to create more agile organizations and allow them to compete in this modern business environment. And we need our health systems to deliver that type of innovation as well. 83% of the unicorns in the world are built on AWS, and AWS Marketplace provides a lever to deliver that into our health systems. Together, we can partner to deliver this innovation into our health systems and achieve these goals. But this vision is really important in the rise of generative AI. At AWS, we firmly believe your data is the thing that ultimately differentiates you. And in this healthcare world, much of this data needs to be shared data and shared infrastructure to drive the outcomes. And so we want to make sure that companies can operate with their data in a very secure way and that they had control over this. We didn't think there was going to be one model to rule them all. And we realized that the future of this generative AI world will be about the data. And so this view informed our strategy. And I'm pleased to share that just recently we made some bold commitments in this area. Earlier this year, AWS contributed $10 million to fund and join the Cancer AI Alliance with Fred Hutch. This alliance will deliver on a critical mission of transforming cancer research and care. Together, we'll accelerate the digital innovation in cancer discovery, treatments, deployment of generative AI, and allow scale and leverage the power, agility, and security of cloud computing. AWS Marketplace will be the best place to find, buy, and subscribe to generative AI solutions to help transform health systems. So we just challenge you to get involved. Come talk to Michael, come talk to myself, or follow up with any of your partners that are working with AWS to figure out how to bring this innovation into our health systems. With that, I thank you. Please leave us feedback. We will be here for Q&A and really appreciate you all coming to hear our story and share Michael's story. Thank you.